Hello, all you wonderful people. I'm Lisa with Living Life with Lisa, and on this channel we talk about living with chronic illness. And I still have wet hair from my shower today, but that's all right. I just got out of rehab, and so I wanted to vlog because it's been a little while, but I do have a really good excuse, but I've torn between telling you or not telling you because it's about problems with a teenager. But I tell you what, I feel like just telling it all to you guys, but I don't want this to be like forever out there and then he gets everything straightened up and flying right and then feels guilty if he ever sees this video. So I won't, but those of you that have raised teenagers know that they can be difficult, some more than others. And one of mine, oh my gosh, has pulled some crap that just is not gonna fly. And I don't know if he's going to learn from this or not, but it's going to kill one of us trying, because I can't continue to live that way. And so we've got lots of restrictions for one kid. And this is the wrong time of year to be messing around, I'm telling you. And it does not help the dementia. It does not help the kidney disease. I know it would seem like one would have nothing to do with the other, but the chronic kidney disease causes a whole lot of fatigue, and I am losing sleep over this kid, and so my fatigue is just going crazy. I am just flat worn out, and it's not helping in rehab any because I just feel so weak. But I'm gonna quit losing sleep over it because it's not worth it. Because otherwise, you know, I was to the point this weekend that I'm done. I'm giving up. I'm not fighting anymore, and I truly meant that. I did make a video, and the whole thing, all I said in the whole video was, I don't know. I just don't know. And I didn't post it because you don't know either. I mean, what are you going to do, you know? So, I have just had it. And so when I say I want to give up, it is this, like, I just don't. I would like to have just 2 days of where I can just have dementia and I can have kidney disease and I can just be sick and taken care of and not have anything to worry about. But no, we're gonna make life harder and harder and harder and harder. And it's, I know I'm not peppy. I know I'm not laughing. See if I get any water. Thirsty. But I'm just overwhelmed, is what I am. And, you know, I just don't know what to do about it right now. The last 2 days have been better because I think someone is starting to learn their lesson painfully, but learning it. But you know what? Some lessons come harder than others. But I want to change the subject because I don't want to talk about that all the time because that's all that's on my mind. But I do want to say something in the videos, and this is not to anyone that comments, because the people that comment regularly on my videos have figured this out, and so they don't say anything to me anymore, or don't or understand where I'm coming from. And so this is not meant for anybody that comments. So if you're somebody that has said this, and don't worry about it, I'm not talking to you. And I know that some of you are suggesting the keto diet for my dad, and that's a whole separate thing that doesn't have anything to do with what I'm getting ready to say. But I have been getting private messages and emails from people that never comment on the channel, but I've been getting quite a few, because they're not names that are familiar to me. And so that means that they are not, if they are, they've got different names on the thing. But I have chronic kidney disease, and the keto diet does not work for me because of the protein part of the diet. My kidneys do not filter the protein. So that is why I can't do the keto diet. But I appreciate your help and your suggestions. And just know that unless I can talk to somebody that really understands this diet and can help me to see where the protein is and how we can change that, then I'm willing to talk to you. But you'd have to email me, and the email is in the subscription box. Not subscription. Thank you. Please subscribe and like, and leave a comment. But if you go down to the description box, there's a little upside down triangle or arrow thing. You click on that, and this whole thing opens, and in there is my email address, and it tells you about how to find me on Facebook, and it has the Twitter, but don't waste your time doing the Twitter. I'll let you know if I ever do anything on there. The reason is all I do right now is I post my videos on Twitter. And so if you're already watching me, I don't put anything profound on there. Every once in a while I get a little political, and so maybe it's best you not be on there, because a lot of people assume a lot of things about me that are incorrect. And so that might be something fun to do too, that tell me your assumptions. What do you assume about me? Because you might be right and you might be wrong. I don't know. But be something fun to do. I'm going to do something fun, because right now my life is not fun. My dad can't take chemo anymore, but I guess he's doing all right. I don't know. He says he doesn't feel good. He's wore out. But he does, his white blood cells and his red blood cells are depleted, and so they don't want to see him back for 3 months, because that's how long it takes. But they're going to take blood tests and give him transfusions for the white blood cells as he needs them, and hopefully in 3 months his body will replenish, which it did that before. And so that's not out of the question that will happen. So that's the good news. That's good news. That's not bad news. But other than that, and my dad does not know anything about what is going on with this child of mine, because I don't want to send him over the edge. I don't want to send my dad over the edge, and it will. I'm afraid. Sometimes though, he knows the right answers too, that I don't know the right answers to. But I don't want to open that door, because I'm not sure when to kill him, and so I don't know. you know, if he ends up in the house, he's gonna know unless we get this straightened out real quick. So anyhow, meanwhile, if you want to put assumptions in, feel free. I want to do some more story time. There is the thing going on with YouTube where they're changing their policy and they don't want anything geared towards children or something. I don't understand. This channel is not for children. This channel is for adults, and so I'm not going to market as kid friendly when that becomes the thing you have to do. But there's a new law about kids, and so if you're caught doing content that's not kid related and you has it as kid friendly, they will fine the government, not YouTube. The government will can fine you up to $45,000, and I don't have $45,000 to be fined. So I don't know. I'm privatizing all the ones that have thumbnails with the kids, and and don't know what I don't know to do is that when I do the story times, I like the story time ones because those are the memories I have that can be left for the boys when I'm gone. And you know, and as those layers, onion layers, as somebody so eloquently put it, I can't remember the name, it was initials. Thank you for that. Old memories are becoming extremely clear, and I'm thinking about them a lot, and I would love to tell you all about them. And so that's what I want to do. And the assumptions would be nice because, well, I don't know if it would be or not because I might lose subscribers if you don't. But just know that you can't do that. We gotta love each other no matter what. And I'm talking specifically to my USA subscribers. I had a question for I know what it was. If you live outside, if you live in Canada or in United Kingdom or in England or somewhere else besides here, I have people from different places. What do you do with roadkill? Because I remember when I was a kid and we had roadkill, the highway department would come pick it up, and now like there's been a deer on the side of this road that I'm driving on right now for a week, and that thing's gonna get, luckily it's winter time, you know, in the summertime, whew, that's gonna get bad. And you know, and I can't go pick up a deer that's been hit by a car. What am I gonna do with it, you know, that's been laying there for a week? I just wondered, what do other countries do? And you know, it's just strange. And today's Monday, and I'm gonna upload this today. And also, I want to give a shout out to any teachers that are watching from the state of Indiana. And I know a couple of you do, because I recognize your name when you when you put a comment. But I want to give a big shout out to the Indiana teachers, public school teachers, because tomorrow is Red for Ed Day, Tuesday, and as far as I know, no schools in my area, and they just announced that Fort Wayne is closing, and Fort Wayne has got the biggest school district in the area, or maybe in the state. It seems like Indianapolis should have the biggest, but Fort Wayne's pretty big too. Fort Wayne closed for tomorrow, and all our schools, I got kids in 2 different schools. We're all closed. Everybody's all closed because tomorrow, all the teachers, public school teachers in the state of Indiana, well, probably not 100%, but most of them, they have enough that the schools are closing so that the teachers can go down to the State House and march on the State House, because they're taking money, the Indiana legislature is taking money out of private schools, and we're talking buco bucks. We're not talking, a couple bucks here and a couple bucks there. Buco bucks out of the public schools to put into the charter schools, which are private schools. They're business run. They don't have gym, they don't have music, they don't have art, they don't have any of the special stuff. It's strictly the 3 R's. And they don't have to obey any of the rules that the public schools do. They get to do what they want. And why we are funding them to begin with, I don't know. I do have strong feelings about this, so there won't be any assumptions about that. But they're losing lots of money, and it's already to the point where the teachers, and it's not about teacher pay. It's not about teacher pay. It's about putting money into these schools for these kids. They park right here, my driveway. Okay, teachers pay money out of their own pocket for stuff for their classroom because it is no longer available. Some teachers have to buy the paper that they put in the copying machine to run off tests and worksheets or study guides or anything that they run off the copying machine. They were doing this when I was still there, and it has gotten worse. They do not want to supply teacher supplies. Heaven forbid you need staples. Too bad. Chalk, who needs chalk? Who needs markers, erase markers for the whiteboard? Because they don't have chalkboards anymore. It's all whiteboards. They're paying out of their own pocket for stuff they shouldn't have to. They cut as much money as they're wanting to cut. There won't be anything left. It will be an entirely a profession where if you have a classroom, you're paying for everything in that classroom. And right now, it's already to the point, and this hasn't happened yet. They're going down there to protest more cuts. And we've already had tons of cuts. It is to the point now that at the beginning of the year, the supply list is not just pencils and paper and notebooks. It's also Kleenexes, sanitary, the hand sanitizers, extra pencils for the rest of the year. So there's enough. They actually take the extra pencils and put them in the box so that when later on when they need pencils, if somebody needs a pencil, there's pencils in there, because that's the only way to get through it. The Kleenexes, the wipes that come in the tub and you pull them out so that you can clean, those kind of things, housekeeping things. And I mean, I do it because I can, and I do it because it needs to be there. But what we're telling these teachers is that you're not important, that you're not worth it to even give you the supplies that you need for your classroom. And that is pathetic. People say, well, and I'm on my high horse, so sit down. Grab a cup of coffee, because this is going to be a long one. People would act like we don't have an education. I taught for almost 30 years. And I had to get a bachelor's degree. I had to get a master's degree. I have an education past a master's degree, but it was required. I had to get the master's degree. It wasn't a choice. And we're highly educated, and we're treated as though we don't know anything. And we were the ones that are teaching the future, not me anymore, but teachers are the ones that are teaching the future doctors and lawyers and tech guys and your mechanics and your hairdressers and all the people that you go and do business with, the people that take care of you in the hospital, the nurses, the orderlies, I don't think they're called orderlies anymore, but insert the correct word. But, you know, the politicians, and no, we're not all, we do not teach politics in school. People like to think that. And also, the things that go around Facebook is like, well, share if you think the pledge should be said in school. It's said every day in school. It's never stopped being said. It's being said. Okay? So it's people that are sharing this stuff are people that aren't in school. The people that are teachers on my Facebook don't share that because they say it every day. And I'm getting tired of people not knowing what they're talking about. You know, don't treat the teachers and pay them less than you would for a babysitter. If teachers were paid hourly like a babysitter for the number of kids they got in a class, which one of my sons is in a class of 30 kids, one teacher, they would make a heck of a lot more money as being paid as a babysitter than they are as a teacher. They would make 4 times at least. And I'm not kidding. I've seen the numbers. I am not kidding. They would make at least 4 times the money if they were paid as babysitters. And they're not babysitters. They are professionals. They know what they're doing. They've been trained to do what they need to do. They've been trained to teach. They've been trained how to teach and how to deal with, and there's always bad apples. There's bad apples everywhere. But there's bad apple doctors. I've been to a lot of those. And, you know, it's just wrong. It's wrong to not have any respect for the people educating the children and the future adults. And, you know, I've got people, my first students right now are 51 years old. My first students, when I started teaching, I was 22, and my oldest students, the oldest ones I had, were 18, because I taught high school. So I have former students all the way up to the age 51, down to age 13. So from 13 to 51 in this area, I probably have had those people in my class at one point or another. And I'm not the only one. I am not the only one. There's lots of teachers like that. And is everybody griping about how stupid the 51-year-olds are? Are we complaining about the 40-year-olds and how they are? Are they all homeless? Are they all nobody's successful? You know, I have kids that are doctors. I just came from rehab with a former student of mine that is actually a doctor for physical therapy. And so tell me that her education was not even worth giving the teacher enough money to have chalk or erase boards or erasers or staples or Kleenexes or grade books. Tell me that it's not important enough to support the schools, to keep the lights on so that you don't have to work with emergency lights, to not do away with busing because you can't pay for busing to get the kids to school that don't have any other way to get to school. And I'm not talking about just me. I picked up a kid today that he missed the bus. I was taking mine because he missed the bus, but that was his own fault. But the other kid, if my kid had a backup, the kid I picked up is one that pretty much lives with us during the summer and weekends, and he was waiting for the bus, and he'd already missed it because we passed it, and he was walking over to where you catch it after you miss it, and I took him to school. Now, if he had gone home and I didn't happen to see him, and I couldn't take him, then he wouldn't be in school today. He would not be in school today. So, because there's nobody to take him. There's nobody to drive him. So, this crap has got to stop. We have got to stop looking down on educators, and we need to start lifting them back up where they should be, and we need to not steal money for the taxpayers' money. Don't take my money, put it in do not take my property taxes, and do not put it with a charter school. You take my property taxes, raise them for all I care, and give them to the stinking school. And find a library, give me more, charge me more. I'll pay more to have a public library that I can use. Okay, don't even have a public library that we can use out here. And we cannot afford to be losing more money. This is just insane. This is not acceptable. This is not okay. And I am so proud of those teachers that are going down there. And I tell you what, I would go down there if I could. And I told Jesse that I wanted to go today, and he started to say, well, you can, and then he said, well, no, you can't, because you wouldn't physically be able to do it. And he's right, I wouldn't be able to physically do it, because there's going to be thousands and thousands of teachers down there, and I would love to go, but I don't know how far I'd have to park away, how far I'd have to walk. There's not going to be any resting or sitting down during it. You can count on that. I might do it. I might do it yet if I find out what time they're doing it and all that stuff. I don't know, because I feel that strongly about it that I'll just take a walker or something that I can use, because this is so important. This is so important. And I am so glad that the schools are closing to allow teachers to do this, because enough already. My last year that I taught, and I was grandfathered in, so it wasn't going to affect me anyway, but it was wrong. My first year teaching was in 1986, and I made $16,000 now in a year. Now in 86, my rent was like $275. My car payment was $100 and something. My student loan payment was only $100 and something. And I ate, I would go buy a loaf of bread, a jar of peanut butter, a gallon of milk, and that would be what I ate. And then sometimes I would throw in macaroni and cheese, because at that time you could buy a box of macaroni and cheese for a quarter. And I lived on that for several years until I started getting paid enough that I could pay my bills and buy food. And at that time, luckily, I had no children. But I seriously, and that was back when, they liked us. So when I was leaving, they were changing the law to where whatever you start at is what you stay at. And then I don't know what you have to do to get the pay up. The education, I don't know if they get the education thing anymore. Our pay went up every time we got closer, and then it maxed out when we got to, if we got a doctorate, it really maxed out. But they don't get, I don't know that they get credit for their education anymore. But think about that. Think about that. You know, it is 2000. Yeah, here's the dementia part. It's 2019. Okay. With my stuff that I get paid the same amount that would be if I was teaching, because that's the way my, not Social Security disability, but my school disability supplements it so that I'm making the same as I would if I was still teaching. So, do you think that in 2019, 3 kids later, would we be able to survive on $16,000 a year? Because I tell you what, my house payment is not $275. I don't have car payments. I don't have student loan payments anymore. But my kids are going to be paying whopper student loans that are way inflated than what they should be. And then my one son wanted to be a teacher, and he changed his mind because he doesn't think that he could make the student loan payments. And I tell you what, I couldn't argue with him. He's right. You're not going to make the student loan payments because you're not going to make any money teaching. Because you're going to get whatever you start at, and you might, last time I heard, because we were talking about it, or, a group of people were talking about it, they were starting teachers at $24,000. Even now, $24,000 is poverty, isn't it? I mean, I don't know what the level is for sure, but you wanted to keep them around for 30 years? And you're going to pay them $24,000 30 years from now? Really? And you wonder why there's a teacher shortage? And I'm talking Indiana right now. I'm not talking, I don't know about the rest of the country. I don't, those of you that are not in the States, Canada understands, I think, because you're huge too, but, it's like having 50 different countries, because state schools are run by the state, not by the federal government. And each state is different. Each state is like its own little country, because supposedly what's supposed to happen is state laws overrule federal laws, but the federal government has a way of cutting funds to the states if they don't do what they want them to do. With that being said, that's neither here nor there. That's just a little bit of how it works in America. But, so I'm just talking about Indiana because I don't know about the others. I really don't. It's apples and oranges. But, they have got to get their heads out of their butts down there. And, they got a committee together to see why there was a teacher shortage. And I don't know what they came up with. But I tell you what, why waste the money on a committee that is not made up of any educators? And you paid them to look into why there's a teacher shortage. I mean, good grief. Just ask somebody. there's plenty of people in this state that live it that know exactly why there's a teacher shortage. Why? In your right mind. I know everybody, well, you're supposed to care about the kids. Well, yes, and we have the rose-colored glasses on, just like social workers who don't get paid either. Yes, we have our rose-colored glasses on, and everybody deserves an education and do it for the love of the kids. But I still have an electric bill. I still have to put food on the table. Still have to have a place to live, roof over my head. I have to have a vehicle to get to and from work. So, yes, teachers do it for the love of it, because you're sure not going to get rich doing it. But pay them enough so that they can have a roof over their head, a car to get to work and back, and food in their belly. And electricity in the house. Because otherwise, they're going to have to go find a job somewhere else so that they can pay their bills. Not to mention the student loans, because they have to have a master's degree. So, my point is, quit treating teachers like they're stupid. Quit bad-mouthing the public school district. Start supporting your students. Start supporting your kids. They're going to be your doctor. Those kids that are not getting any funding for their classroom and don't have paper to write on, and it's worse than some. I mean, we have it good where we're at. That list I gave you, that was good. There are schools in Indianapolis that they furnish 100% of this stuff, and that is uncalled for. That is unacceptable. That is not okay. And then you want to blame the schools for the kids failing when they don't have food in their belly? They don't have breakfast? They don't have, really. So, I am so proud that this is happening tomorrow. I am so happy that it's happening, because something has to give. Something absolutely has to give. They cannot take this money and put it in charter schools. They can't. Charter schools charge the people to take your kids there anyway. Take that money, make them pay for that. And, they take the voucher thing where they would take, like the state page. There's a day called Count Day. And I don't know when it is. It's in the fall sometime. And on Count Day, they count how many kids are present that day. And then you get from the government, your funds for your school is contingent on the number of students that are present on that day. Not that are enrolled, but the students that are present in your building at that day, on Count Day. And so that money they figure out, and it's, say it's $200 per kid. And so if it comes out to an average $200 per kid, then they can get a voucher and go to a charter school, and they can carry that money over, and instead of the $200 going to that school, it goes to the charter school, and then the parents flip the rest of the bill. The idea behind this is to do away with public schools. The writing has been on the wall for 15, 20 years now that it's coming. And we had, when they started these charter schools, we had a state superintendent that ended up getting beat in an election. And after he left, they found out that he had cheated on test scores so that it looked like the charter schools tested better than the public schools, and it was not true. They had fudged the results. Most of them had failed, and they turned it to make it look like most of them got an A, and they didn't. There was embezzlement. I don't know what they've done with him. I don't know if he's in jail now or what, but He got fired from what he's doing. And then the state superintendent, the one that the people elected to go down to Indianapolis, after she got more votes in that election than any politician in the state of Indiana got. She got more votes. This woman got more votes than anybody else that was elected, including governor. She had more support. Let me get this clear. She had more support than any other elected official in the state of Indiana, bar none. Governor got in there, didn't like what she had to say. They had a quorum, and they took away the things that office was responsible for. And so she sat there and with her hands tied. No longer did the job description fit what she was elected to do. And we let it happen. There was not an uprising. There wasn't anything. And finally, people were getting mad enough that, you know, they've just been poked and 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 poked too long. And we're to the point where it's like, you know, done. And I am so glad that the whole state, I hope every school in the state's closed tomorrow. Every single one is closed. And I hope that you can't even fit all the teachers in Indianapolis tomorrow. That is my hope. That there will be so much red in that town, in that city, that you won't see any other colors. Because it just got to happen. Something has got to give. And the only way, I think, really is for our elected officials to see the mass numbers of people that are against this. Now, it's not the mass number of people that's going to be hurt, because it's going to be students that get hurt. Once again, I'm going to say this. This is not about teacher pay. It's about the money that goes into the classroom to pay the electric bill, to pay the gas bill, to pay the water bill, to pay people to clean it, to pay for the food that they eat, even though they eat and they have, but are they going to take all that money away? They're going to take all that runs that? They're going to turn off the lights, run, I went to school. This is going to be my longest video ever, except for that once, like an hour and a half. It may be an hour and a half, I don't know. But I went to school during the energy crisis in '79, and the school I went, the town I lived in, because they didn't have it up here, but the area I lived in was, the energy was from coal out of a certain area of Kentucky, and the coal miners went on strike in 1979, and we literally had school with only the classroom lights on. The hallway and the cafeteria only had emergency lights on, which weren't very many lights. There were 13 schools in my school district. They cooked all the food in one place and then delivered everybody else's lunch in styrofoam containers to the buildings. And we ate in the dark. And we were not allowed to throw away paper. If we had a sheet of paper, we had to keep using it until there was absolutely no room left on this sheet of paper. And I'm talking, and I'm not kidding. Like, if you had to write a report for English and you wrote it, then they'd grade it, give it back to you, and then when you went to math class, you would turn it over on the back and do the math. Well, then if you had to take notes in social studies, then you'd go over into the margins and you'd take your notes over in the margins. And you would do this for every class. And every piece of that paper, notes everywhere, all over, front and back, because you use margins too, and you use the top where the heading goes, you use that. And if you used a clean sheet of paper, you got in trouble unless you could show the teacher that there was absolutely no place to write on either side of the paper left at all. Then you could get a clean sheet of paper. Because it was so bad that the paper cost too much. And we could not have any waste. And it was, I'll never forget that. And it was, we ended up having a really bad blizzard in 78. It was it was 78, 79 school year. And we had a blizzard. And they just closed the schools for the whole month of February. Because it hit at the end of January. And we were out of school for a couple of weeks, legitimately. Because we had massive amounts of snow. And they had to bring in fork loaders to take the snow out. And but they canceled school for the whole month of February because they wanted to save on the heating bill. They didn't want to heat the buildings. So and that was because of a strike. Okay, now let's look at this. Let's take all that money away. Now that's funding all that stuff, paying for the electricity, paying for the cooking the meals, paying for the heat to be on. Let's take all that away. And that's what we want the kids to do. That's what we want, how we want them to learn. You want them to be like me, who people come to my house to clean and they have a paper that has stuff written, phone numbers and everything written all the little front and back, and I've had to train people, don't ever throw any of those papers away, because those have phone numbers and things that I need, and I am still doing that because that's what was so ingrained in me in that year that I never got over it. And now we're going to do it permanently? No. And I saw a post that I loved today that somebody put up. If your school happens to be in session tomorrow, have your kids wear red. And I thought, yep. But I seriously don't know that anybody's going to school tomorrow. I don't know of any school right now that's in session. I might hear later. I don't know. I have to watch the news. But I'm so glad finally. They took away the unions. We still have unions. They still have teachers' unions, but they're not allowed to do anything but language. And it's just crazy. It's just not right. It's not right. You're cheating your children, cheating the children. And you may not have children in school. That maybe your grandkids. I don't know. But it is going to be your doctor. It is going to be your accountant. It is going to be the guy that comes and fixes your furnace in the dead of winter. It is going to be the person that fixes your car. And you're going to deny them the education to become those things. What happens in 10, 20 years when there's no new lawyers, no new doctors, no new mechanics, no new contractors, no new repair shops, because they never were able to get the education that they deserved because there wasn't any money to pay for it. won't have to go to a nursing home because there won't be anybody trained. Right? So I can take that worry off my list. Because we won't have any nurses because they won't receive the education. It's just not okay. It is wrong. Absolutely wrong. And agree, disagree, subscribe, unsubscribe. I'm not changing my opinion on this. I will not argue about this because this hits home too much. And it's not up for discussion. You know, discuss it amongst yourselves. But if you leave a negative comment about this, I won't delete it, but I will ignore it. I may read it, but I will not. I will not get in a conversation with it. Because just like the old adage says, walk a mile in my shoes first. Walk a mile in my shoes. So, thank you for letting me sound off. I appreciate it. I keep looking in the rearview mirror and I see the trash can, but I look in the mirror or the camera and I'm seeing the beautiful farmland behind me. I don't know if we've had any cows or sheep come or goats come around. The chickens haven't figured out I'm home or don't care. Usually they come running into the van, but they're not coming running now. But live life to the fullest. Live life with no regrets. And this is one of the things that I mean. I might go down there because that's how strong I feel about it. And I don't want to regret not going. So, I don't know. But live life to the fullest. Live life with no regrets. And we'll see you next time. Bye.